Yo guys, and welcome to the very first online Taking It Easy podcast. How you doing, Pat?
Guys, it's great being here. We're online. We're in the middle of lockdown right now. But Rowan and I, we're back. We're proving that we can stay consistent. We're here, ladies and gentlemen. We're here.
We've come through. Doesn't matter, lockdown, COVID. We've still come through for you guys, and we've got some great stuff lined up for today. So obviously, it's just Pat and I doing it today because we couldn't get a guest on. But we've asked all of you guys to send in questions and topics to talk about, and we're going to go over all of them. And then we have a special segment at the end for people who want to watch on YouTube as well. So it's going to be super fun,
ladies and gentlemen. A little exclusive segment for you guys. So if you guys are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, just a little incentive to you guys to go give us a subscription on YouTube. So link will be in the description, of course, if you're listening on Spotify. But yeah, we've done a little Q&A for this one. It's our first podcast without a guest because obviously it's a little bit difficult in the midst of a lockdown. But we've got you guys to send through some questions and some topics that you'd like us to discuss in this podcast. Obviously, we're gonna do our best with the technology that we have to hopefully everything fucking works. But
that's it.
But yeah, Rowan and I are gonna give it a good crack. You guys clutched up with some great questions. We're really, really looking forward to answer it for you guys.
100%. So we've got some good questions. We've got some deep questions as well. So we just kind of handpicked a couple of questions that all of you guys, sent us, and so we're going to go over a couple of them today. So why don't we crack on and get into the first question? What do you reckon, Pat?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Let's do it. Okay.
I love this. Okay.
Yeah, same. It's such a good idea. So the first question of this online Taking It Easy podcast is from Anthony, who was actually on the episode with us last week.
Look at this.
That's right. Let's go. Click back to watch the episode if y'all haven't watched it already. But his question was, should it be mandatory for everyone in Australia or the world to get the coronavirus vaccine?
Dude,
what do you reckon, Pat?
We're starting controversial, dude.
100%, bro. But seriously, what do you think? What are your thoughts on everyone getting the vaccine or not?
I'm actually really surprised, first things first. But at the same time, I'm not, because a lot more people than you think are against the vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
Part of me can see why. But part of me is also like, well, the only way we're going to get back to a normal world, by the way it looks, is by getting a vaccine. I have friends in the UK.
100%.
I have friends in America. More than half their population is vaccinated. They're all attending sporting events and everything. Meanwhile, in Australia, 8% of our population is fully vaccinated, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of people refusing to get vaccinated. And I want to ask you why you think that's the case.
Well, I think, obviously, life is never going to be the same. With this COVID-19, we're never going to go back to how life was before COVID-19. So that's just a given that everyone has to understand, I think. It's we see these different vaccinations getting taken overseas, right? Like we got Sweden, Finland, blah, 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 where we've seen people and statistics of people getting blood clots, people dying, people getting, I think it's called like a lymphoma or lympha or something, like these little bumps on their necks and in their bloodstream and stuff. Yeah. So obviously a lot of the media and news love to portray, people are dying because of the vaccine, this and that. And so a lot of what we see is, shit, like people are dying from this vaccine. Like if I get it, maybe I have a chance of dying. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter with any experiment or any vaccine or any medicine, no matter what medicine or vaccine it is or what the experiment is, people are different. We're all made up of different particles. Everyone's life is different. Everyone's internal anatomy is different. So everyone's going to have a different reaction to a vaccine.
But is it fair that people are having these physiological reactions to the vaccine? Because it essentially is a prototype, right? Because it's a very rushed vaccine, okay?
Yeah.
A lot of vaccines we see develop and change over time. Polio, for example, okay? The vaccine that first came out for polio is drastically different to the one that it is now, right?
Oh, and I mean, it has to be, because when we have variants coming out, like the Delta variant recently, like you need, not one vaccine is going to fix every single dimension and variant of the coronavirus or other diseases. And that's just a given because over time, the disease adapts. So we have to adapt as well. Now, it's very hard to have one vaccine that's going to cover one given thing.
Yeah. I guess there's it's hard without having a level of bias, and it's a very controversial topic right now because it's so relevant, right?
Yeah.
To say
100%.
whether taking the vaccine is right or wrong, because there's one side of people who is so adamant that you have to get a vaccine, and there's one side of people, including my mother, okay, and Rowan laughs, and
yeah, but it's
and it is
true.
funny because my mum actually wants to be on the podcast, and my mum obviously lives overseas. She's been in Paris for almost 2 years now, and she is a very, very strong believer that people shouldn't take the vaccine. And,
That's it.
And she obviously will receive quite a lot of stick for that because it's a controversial view, right? But I also see where my mum's coming from, and I also see where people are coming from, because a lot of people are scared to get the vaccine straight away, and I see why, because it's new, and nobody wants to be like the guinea pig. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, like it. Yeah, you go.
Yeah. Like many people have obviously already got the vaccine, right? But we haven't seen the long-term effects, and as I said, I'm no master in this topic. Like, I don't know much about it, but it's with any vaccine, right? There's got to be some sort of fear if it's new, because people are obviously concerned, and obviously there's a level of distrust some people have with like the higher authorities and stuff like that. Some people don't believe what the news tells you, and I think often that has a big role, because when you switch on the news, that's where we get our information from, right? Like Rowan and I talk about this. As humans, we're like a sponge, right? What we see, we take in, and we can choose to believe or choose not to believe. It's not like we're just born knowing stuff, right? So I guess a lot of our views depend on where we get our information from, and whether that's reputable or not. And to be honest, sometimes it's hard to tell if things are reputable and they're not reputable. But I think there's a case in point as to why people don't want to get the vaccine. But there's also a very strong case as to why people should get the vaccine, because let's think about it. How much has coronavirus affected the economy?
Hugely. It's affected the economy hugely, but I mean, it's also boosted the economy in some ways as well, especially the online currencies, online shares, online businesses. Huge boost in that. And kind of linking back to what you were saying before, as in people might fear something that's brand new, like a new vaccine.
Yeah.
I mean, fear is going to be in anything brand new, anything that comes into the market that's brand new. Someone's going to have to be the first to buy it. Someone's going to be the first to try it. Fear is going to be in anything that's brand new in society, right? But I understand both cases. But in my personal view, I think if people want to start being able to do international travel as one, being able to go interstate, blah, 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 then vaccines are good. And I think that people in different age demographics and people in different socioeconomic backgrounds are all going to have different opinions on this, because coronavirus is going to affect them more than another group. Say coronavirus at the moment, like people from, say, 50 to 65, I think, they're obviously their respiratory systems, muscular systems aren't as tough as, say, or healthy as an 18 to 21-year-old. I mean, everyone's still susceptible to getting COVID-19, but the demographics and fear, I think, in the different age groups is much more severe. So I think that's why people who are older than people our age, the youngins, is because they're more likely to suffer detrimental effects of coronavirus,
100%.
rather than us. Because, like, a lot of us quite healthy, sporty, myself, yourself included. A lot of us young kids don't think that the coronavirus can really affect us. We think we're immune. We think we're better than it. It's like it doesn't exist almost.
And that's why
But
now that we're in a lockdown, we're like, oh well, it's a
that's
lot
it.
of
Yeah,
people
yeah,
are really frustrated, but you also got to understand that we got to protect the older generations and stuff like
yeah.
that.
Well, I mean, like
The
that's the
thing that
thing. Like
is
if
frustrating the most, though, and I'm sure you can agree, it's because we're seeing everybody in Europe now go around and do
yeah,
this thing, and then there's
that's
the
it.
vaccine rollout here in Australia. Well, there's not being enough vaccines being distributed for people to
Yeah,
actually get back to a normal life. The only reason
yeah.
that's preventing us from going out and traveling overseas and doing these things is
I mean
simply
that's still
because,
long in the future though.
yeah,
Traveling overseas, that's still
yeah,
a wee while.
that's a real stepping stone. But even traveling interstate and stuff like that,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
like I can't take a side, obviously, because I I'm trying to be unbiased completely, right?
yeah.
Um, I feel like if you want to get back to a normal life as things were, getting vaccinated,
hmm
you have to do it, right? But
Yeah,
you
I'm
can
on the
also
same
have
boat
to
as you.
understand the fear people have to a completely
Yeah.
new, really, uh,
Something we've never actually seen before at
yeah,
all.
yeah,
Brand
exactly.
new, like brand new, you know? So I'm totally in the same boat as you. I think if we want to start living with COVID in a more reasonable way, then I think vaccines are the go moving forward.
Mm.
Obviously, it's
They
it
have to be,
won't be compulsory. Yeah, it'll have to be. It won't be compulsory because not everyone will be forced to get the vaccine.
but it will
And I
come
mean, it is
with,
people's.
yeah.
Yeah, it'll come with other effects. Say, I was listening to a podcast and I also read an article on this. Like moving into the future, international travel, you'll actually have a COVID passport that says yes, I have the vaccine.
I
No, I am negative for COVID as well.
I heard about that.
So I think if people who don't get the vaccines, there will be cons as well. But I mean, it really just comes down to the individual person and what they think. And I'm always open to listening to what people who maybe don't want to get the vaccine think. But I don't think, I think it should come from a person's choice and it shouldn't be like mandatory or compulsory for everyone to get it.
Yeah, yeah. But at the same time, right, as we spoke, if you refuse to get the vaccine, if that comes with certain consequences, the person has to be willing to face that.
No, I mean, yeah, that's on them. That's on
Yeah,
them.
exactly. Should we move on to the next question?
That was a good question.
That
So
was
thanks,
that was a
Anthony, for that
deep
one.
question, dude. I don't want to
I
go
know.
too deep into it because we've got so much more to discuss. But
That's all right.
let's move on
Right
to the
off the
next
bat.
question.
So the next question we have is from one of your good friends, actually, Dean, I'm pretty sure,
Big
who's
Dean,
a
Big
loyal
Dean.
subscriber to Rochi TV. But he actually had a couple of questions for us that we'll go over in this podcast. But
Hmm.
I'll go with his first one. Do you think there's life after death?
Very interesting, right?
Very
It's kind of
interesting.
links to the fact that if we have a soul or not. Um,
Mm,
I feel that it's an important question, right? Because people argue that like when you die, right, you lose a
yeah.
certain amount of weight, and I don't know if that's just because like you shit and piss yourself, or if they say some
No.
some people say it's your soul, right, and your soul's like detaching from your body, right, and like ascending into heaven or whatever like that. Um,
Yeah.
the human brain can't conceptualize that, surely not.
I'm very skeptical of life after death, and that's just because my personal view is that when you die, what happens with your brain, right? Your conscience deteriorates and eventually will leave, right?
Mm.
But as a obviously it'll come down to your beliefs as well. If you're a Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, you're gonna have different beliefs. Look, I'm gonna go to an afterlife, I'm gonna go to heaven, I'm gonna reincarnate. So it really comes down to the individual, what their beliefs are. But my belief is, I think, I like to think from a science point of view. Um, that goes with everything really. But I think that in the brain, the conscience will deteriorate and you lose weight because, first of all, the brain can't sustain the body, your heart can't sustain your body, and there's no nutrients or energy or food or water going into your body. So eventually you're going to go back into the earth where we came from, right?
Mm.
So I think that once we die, that's it. As much as I'd like to think that I'd like get reincarnated to like LeBron James or like Denzel Washington or Leonardo DiCaprio, as much as I'd love that, it's so hard to think that that's possible for me. What about you?
It's such an interesting topic, right? Because let's be
Mhm.
honest, like these questions is like no right and wrong, clearly.
Yeah,
Because
no, yeah.
everybody's entitled to their own belief, but there's no factual scientific evidence that says this is what happens when you die. This is fucking
Mm,
it. Don't argue against it, right?
yeah.
Because we've learned so much about the universe, right? Which is completely
Mm,
factual, right? Science
yeah,
has gone into it,
100%.
but you can't study this sort of stuff, right?
I mean, like, you have people who have died and have said, oh, like, I saw my whole life flash before my eyes, or I saw the light, I
And
saw
people
God,
who,
you know?
you
Like,
know, people who had those like near death experiences and who have like, or like people who
yeah.
have come back and like, I like read this story and it was like some kid in Egypt or whatever had been like,
Mm.
don't quote me on this, okay, but it was like somewhere along these lines had like been
Yeah.
murdered and then came back, was born in the same town and
Oh,
like
yeah,
found the
yeah, yeah.
kid that like found the person that murdered him slash her
Mm.
and like walked with him to like the site of where the person was
The
buried.
murderer
The
buried,
Murray,
yeah.
yeah. Um, I'm not sure if this is factual or not. Like I read this online or
I think,
something.
I think it's, I think that just kind of comes down to the human experience. Obviously, the different experiences and beliefs and things that you grow up with is going to shape the person and the beliefs that you believe in. And so, like I said, if you're a religious person, then you will believe in the afterlife, heaven, blah blah blah. If you've lived um, a good life, not
Mm.
sinning too much. But I think once your time's done, it's done because I think the knowledge of us knowing that we're going to die brings clarity to our life, wanting to find love, wanting to achieve our goals, wanting to get money, etc., is because knowledge of knowing we're going to die brings that clarity to our life and getting shit done. And I think if like if you were to live forever, would you live forever, Pat?
No,
Yeah, I know. And like for a lot of people, it's a very tempting thing. Oh, being able to live forever. I could see
but they would
do
get to a
whatever I
certain
want.
point where you're like,
Yeah,
what?
exactly.
Yeah.
Like what am I doing? Exactly. So I think that for me, knowing that this is my life and I'm going to die eventually just brings so much more clarity and urgency in my life to do things that I love, to meet new people, to try new things, to live the absolute best life I can before I get to that point where it's done. That was kind of a bit deep. I kind
Dude,
of went over what
that
my
actually came
brain
out really
like.
well.
Yeah, no, thanks, bro. I appreciate that,
I
man.
actually completely believe with what you're saying. There's no right or
Yeah,
wrong in these questions. Everyone's gonna
no,
entitled to
not
their
at
own
all.
belief. If you're Muslim, Christian, Jewish, Hindu, Buddhist, those Star Wars
Anything.
guys, dude, like
Jediism.
Jediism, dude, that's a fucking big thing now.
It's huge.
Everybody's entitled to their own belief, and it's a really interesting topic to talk about. We'd love to hear what you guys have to think about, what you guys
Yeah,
believe in,
definitely.
because yeah, as I said, there's no right or wrong, but I think what you say is really really valid, dude. Because like,
Yeah,
fuck, time's so
thanks, bro.
important, right? Because the fact that if we are like the fact that we know we have a certain time in this world, if we really think about that, we'll value it more.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
beauty.
I think I said this to you the other day, Pat. So say if you were given $84,600 every single day, right? And at the end of that day, whether you spent that money or not, $84,600 goes back into your bank account every single day.
Mm,
If you can spend it all
mm,
or not,
mm.
it'll reset $84,600, right? That's how many seconds in a day that we live, right? And a lot of that time, you got people spending 6, 7 hours on a phone. You got people like, I don't know, just like really sad about the smallest little things, when we have people in third world countries who are doing it 1,000 times rougher, So I think that
Yeah.
if people choose to live those 84,600 seconds like they would spending money, they would do anything to spend that $84,600. That'll really bring clarity and happiness to people's lives, I think.
Yeah. Time's scary, dude. Time's a scary thing, but if you really think about it that way, you value it more.
100%, bro.
Yeah.
That was a good question. I rated that.
Dude.
That was a good question.
We're getting really deep on this online
Pat's like,
podcast.
yeah, Pat's
I'm tripping out, bro.
Taken back a bit. He's like taken back.
You're gonna see me just like ascend and like
just start like floating, just like meditation stuff.
I'll just levitate.
All right, so the next question is again from Dean. Dean again, the guy, the man. So the other question was, how were we created? I don't know if he's talking about like us as humans or like the universe. What do you reckon? We could take that in a couple of different ways.
How are we created
if we're talking
as
about,
humans?
Well, my mum and dad had sex at time. No, I think
was it? No, you weren't. No, you weren't a Valentine's baby. Was it? Was it like a?
I wasn't.
A birthday
I wasn't
thing
a Valentine's
or what?
baby. So I'm March, so that takes me back 9 months. I wasn't very good at math, guys. So March, February, January, December, November. So let's just move on. I think how we're created as a universe is a more in-depth question. What do you think, Pat? How do you think the world was made?
I kind of, since I'm not as knowledgeable in this stuff, I kind of back science. I believe that we have evolved over time. The Earth, when it first began, was a completely different place than what it was now. I think it's just evolution, man, and how humans have developed. And I think I'm just here now. I don't exactly completely know the science behind it, but I think how this world is created is there's got to be some sort of science involved in it. Yeah.
Oh well, everything is science.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what you believe. Everything is science.
I mean, science has to be considered, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's very difficult for me, who's not a believer in God. It's very difficult for me to comprehend anything that doesn't correlate with science. Does that make sense?
And that's the thing.
So
right?
it's like,
because everyone's gonna have their own beliefs. If you're a hardcore Christian, you're gonna believe that the world was created in 7 days and blah blah blah. And
I mean, I'm not knocking those at all. Like, if you want to believe that,
of course
you
not,
can
man.
believe that. Like, I'm not going to knock you.
Not at all. Like, I wear this cross on my neck, right? But I still I'm there are certain things that I will take science's view, and there are certain things that I'll take a religious point of view. And I don't feel like that's a bad thing, because it's important that
well, I mean, I feel like with faith, it provides a lot of people with some sort of comfort and stability.
Yeah.
Knowing that there is someone greater who did create the universe, who is out there looking after them. That provides a lot of people with comfort and stability, because when they think about death and nothing after death, it's a very scary.
Yeah. That's like one of the innate fears, apparently, that just everybody has is death. So the idea of there being a higher power is very comforting to people.
Yeah, 100%.
That's a beautiful thing, man.
That
really is a beautiful thing. Is. And I'm on those sides, right? Because I do believe that there's like a heaven, and that to me is comforting, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't necessarily believe it, because there's not necessarily any proof that that's true. But the reason I believe it is because it's comforting to me.
Well, what would you want? Like, what would you want heaven to be? Like, if you were to stand at heaven's gates and the gates open, what would you want to greet you in heaven?
Food.
Whether that food. Did you say food?
No, not food, dude. I don't know. What's something I fucking love?
Me?
Yes, wrong. We're in an intimate
No homo.
relationship.
No homo. No homo.
No homo. Nah. I don't know. I've never really imagined. I mean, I've thought about it, but it's heaven to me is not more of a visual thing. It's more of a feeling kind of thing.
Right.
Right. I don't exactly know because, as you said, like when we die, right? It's like we know that we're dead. Like our brains kind of just like switched off. So
Yeah.
I can't like imagine like being in this body in heaven. Like it just my brain can't think about it. But I just imagine like heaven being a good feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%, bro.
Yeah. What would be in your heaven?
What would be in my heaven if I believed in heaven?
Oh, dude.
I'll have to dull it down a bit so it is PG. But I feel like everything I don't know, everything that's like made me happy. Like if I got to the gates of heaven and the gates opened and Life is a Highway started playing, I would be happy, man. And then I'd just have like Morgan Freeman just greet me, and then see Kobe Bryant playing with Gigi on a basketball court, and then Juice WRLD, my guy, like what's going on? You
That's
know,
a shit, dude.
Bro, just like everyone.
Do you think there's
up
like
there.
all these sections and shit, and there's like.
I don't think there's sections because that would be segregation.
There's like the rappers side and there's like fucking Juice and X hanging out and shit.
It's just like West Side, East Side kind of rivalry in heaven. Nah, but I think like
Jesus,
yeah, I don't know. I feel because I'm an atheist. It's kind of like heaven for me would just be like everything that I like and everything that makes me happy. I guess. Yeah. So we'll move on to the next question. Another one from Dean. Another one from Dean.
Bro, Dean's getting all the love at the moment, man. Awesome.
I know. Hey, why not?
We need some different people, man. If we ever do one of these again, guys, email us on the email, okay? Give us anything you like us to talk about.
Even on Instagram, it's just got to swipe up in a question.
Big respect to Dean.
That's it.
For giving us some great questions. What is it? Go ahead.
100%. Should we bring back extinct animals like the dodo or woolly mammoth?
There's a lot of extinct animals, man. A lot of extinct animals.
I think that's kind of like it's a question that means nothing because why are they extinct? Us.
But also not. What about the fucking Ice Age man and shit?
Oh, yeah, well,
what about the
animals we're talking about
and shit, dude?
I mean, it depends what animals we're talking about. Like, if we're talking about animals from
we're talking about
modern
the
history,
rhinoceros now and shit becoming more
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, if we're talking about like modern day animals, you got the rhino. I think there's only one white rhino left in the world because it's been hunted for its tusks, etc. Elephants as well. You have the Tasmanian tiger down in Tasmania that was extinct too.
That was like the 1930s or something. Was like
like
there are still people like trying to hunt them. Like I don't know if you've heard of a guy called Forrest Galante, but like he's like trying to hunt like extinct animals and shit. I find that so sick.
Well, I mean, it's like sick as in cool or sick as in like fucked up.
No. It's fucking cool, dude. Like imagine if somebody found an extinct animal from 100 years ago.
Oh, I thought you meant like he was like hunting, trying to kill like animals.
No.
He's
like trying.
I was like, bro, you're messed up, bro.
Nah, he's awesome, bro. I heard him on Joe.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. That's mad. But like, if we're talking about animals in a modern day, then there's no point bringing them back because we made them extinct as a human race. You know, and that's just because of our greed and our need and our want.
But surely you want to bring them back because like it would be like a lesson learned.
Yeah, but if you bring them back, there's always going to be people who just want to kill for money as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I'm also thinking of animals like prehistoric shit. Like have you seen those massive titanoboas and like those like
the huge.
I mean, bro,
ones.
if we're talking like fucking T-Rex and shit, how sick would that be?
That'd be dope, bro. That would be so dope. I would rate that. Live in
I'm just
harmony with
saying,
the
they'd
dinosaurs.
probably
Like,
wreak havoc, dude. But like, imagine just like going to fucking West Africa or some shit and just running into like a 5 meter tall dinosaur, dude. I'd be going on safaris like every fucking weekend.
I totally get you, bro. Like, I think, if we were able to bring them back, but have them isolated in an area where they could live and we could live in harmony, bro, I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
You just see on the
Kind of like
news
in
one day that like one of the T-Rexes gets out of the cage and just like fucking
Jurassic Park, real life.
Jurassic Park in real life.
No, but I mean,
it
like,
would be awesome, bro. It's always
Yeah,
something we
it
think
would.
about. But yeah, I'm sure like some of these animals are like really fucking dangerous as well.
Oh yeah, well, I
Bring
mean,
back
like
the good
if
ones, and all the dangerous ones can just like they can be in animal heaven, dude, and just I don't know do all that shit.
no, I totally agree. But I mean, like, if you kind of like a Jurassic Park concept or even like Godzilla concept, right? Where you kind of keep it in this like its own habitat in like a bubble, right? Where you can look after it, it can look after itself, but it's in containment, then fuck yeah, that'd be so cool, bro.
That would be
I'd love to see a T-Rex, dude. That'd be so dope.
I feel like they'd be so underwhelming though.
I don't know, bro. Like the hype of a T-Rex, like I've loved T-Rexes since I was a little kid, like playing with little toys and stuff.
Yeah.
Bro, if I saw a T-Rex, bro, I think I might cry. Like, I'm like, that would be so cool.
I love my Stegosauruses.
the,
They're meta,
the
bro.
vegan,
Bro,
imagine
imagine,
the vegan dinosaurs.
bro, imagine if they had like fucking like dinosaur boxing or some shit. Like they got like two T-Rexes to like have a boxing match. Fuck the YouTube and TikTok shit, dude.
Bro, we're getting out of hand on this
I'd be
conversation,
buying
dude.
pay-per-views to watch fucking two T-Rexes going at it.
A Stegosaurus versus a T-Rex.
Oh, I think who would win that? T-Rex.
Bro, I'm saying T-Rex, bro. Unless the Stegosaurus just like takes out the
They
knees.
got that reach, dude. Oh no, they got
No,
short
bro,
arms.
T-Rexes are
Yeah,
like
yeah,
this,
yeah,
bro. T-Rexes are like...
Yeah.
I'm saying like, or
got that
I mean,
height.
the Stegosaurus could like take down the knees, and then the T-Rex just falls, and then it's like a straight like
That's
pierce to
true.
the face.
They got them long body and they can yeah.
Yeah, bro.
You're getting me
Anyway,
excited.
that was kind of a good question. I
love
rated
this.
that one.
All right, Dean. We love you.
So love you, Dean. So the next one, shout out to my auntie, lives down in Canberra, Auntie Joan, also a legend.
We love you.
We love you, Auntie Joan. But her question was, it's a very relevant question in today's society and has been throughout Australia, particularly for the last, since we were colonized by Captain Cook, really.
Give it to me, Ron.
That's it. What do you and I know about the Aboriginals who preceded the land and the country we live on before us?
Deep question. I feel like we have a lot to incite people about because a lot of people
100%.
watching across the world will not know the context of Australia. And although it's not my position, like I'm obviously no expert, right? I did study it. Obviously, like we've both studied our country.
History.
Yeah. It's a bit fucked up, man. Like
it's classed as a genocide, really.
Yeah, it really was. Essentially, Australians come in and the English come in and colonize Australia.
1788, Captain Cook, Botany Bay.
1788, and essentially just take away all the indigenous people's land. And
to slaughter them as well.
Yes, and then proceed to assimilate them to Australians. So essentially it's an attempted genocide, right?
Well, it is really.
Yeah. And it's really sad because you look at the long-term effects of it on Aboriginal culture and people and the way how they behave. And it's really, really sad to see that statistically Aboriginal people are less likely to graduate from school and more likely to fall into addiction of drugs, alcohol, and gambling, and all those things, right? And for me, it does stem all the way back to the 18th century when Australia was first colonized, because that still has a lasting impact, and it's important because right now in Australia we're going through NAIDOC week, and it's important that we recognize like these people that preceded our land. Like I shouldn't consider myself Australian because I'm not. like I was, my family moved over here on a ship. Yes, okay, my family have been here for a couple centuries.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's important that I recognize that there's these people who are here in the land before me, and and that's that. And I need to respect their culture. And a lot of people don't, right? And there's a
that's
there's
it.
a lot
I mean,
of
like,
there's still racism that's prevalent in Australia today
yeah, man.
towards indigenous culture. Sad to see, dude.
And I mean, I'm not sure if a lot of people actually know, but the Aboriginals and Indigenous people of Australia are actually the oldest known civilization to be on the land. 60,000 years
60,000
in
years, dude.
Australia. It's the oldest civilization to date back in modern history, I'm pretty sure. And it just goes to show that they were a nomadic people, so they were always moving around, right? And so when in 1788, when Captain Cook came to colonize Australia, and then slaughtered and enslaved and committed pretty much a genocide in Australia, and then tried to assimilate these Aboriginal people who were living peacefully, nomadically, living off the land with their own Dreamtime stories and their own life, in a way. When they tried to get assimilated into the white culture or white Australia, it had detrimental effects because they lost their connection to the land, the connection to their families, and the connection to their dream time. And all of those three points for Aboriginals and spirituality are so important to them, right? And like you said, it stems all the way back. Sociocultural effects of Aboriginals, huge. Socioeconomic, huge. And and environmental, right? So a lot of Aboriginal people in our 21st century do live in rural communities, and a lot of them do live in lower socioeconomic housing, etc. And that's because, like the statistics say, they have been shuttered, they have been racially abused, they have not been given grants and stuff by the government up until I think it was 2008. So we'll have to check that. 2008, I think, when Kevin Rudd gave the apology for the Aboriginal people, and that was a huge turning point for Australia, I think. And I think it's important in NAIDOC week as well for everyone to do research back into our past, because our past.
I think for all Australians, right, it's important to understand the history behind your country.
Yeah, 100%.
We take things for granted too much as a society, and people don't know often like the history of their country and stuff like that.
No.
That's why I studied history, because it's a great topic, man. Great topic.
I
Maybe you guys are still in school. Study history. Study history. I mean, it's amazing.
History makes up what life is for us at the moment.
Literally.
You know, like, and I think it's super important, and I think it should become mandatory in schools, is the study of Aboriginal culture in Australia, and to understand.
Sure, it might even be the case right now. I'm not even exactly sure.
I know that we, like, you and I both studied. I know you and I both studied.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
The Aboriginal culture, and lands, and Eddie Mabo case, etc. But I think that it should be more prevalent in society, because I mean, like, a lot of people inside just think, oh yeah, like the Aboriginals, we apologise, blah blah blah. But I think it needs to go deeper into people needing to understand what happened in the past. And there was that whole thing a couple of years ago. Oh no, it wasn't even a couple of years ago. It was I think last year or the year before, where there was a petition to change Australia Day, change the date of Australia Day, because for Aboriginals that was Invasion Day. That was the day that their culture got invaded by England. But we choose the 26th of January to celebrate the arrival and slaughter and genocide of the Aboriginal people as Australia Day.
It's really sad.
Yeah, it is. So I think personally that as a country, we need to do more into learning and understanding about the Aboriginal culture. What do you think?
100%. I totally agree. It's a really important topic for Australians to really understand. And And yeah. Do
Well, I
modern
mean,
history.
thanks.
Do history,
Yeah,
guys. Learn it.
that's
Learn if
it.
you're Australian. Learn about the past, man. Learn about the past. Learning about the past means that you can rectify the future. That's
100%. That's it. Well, thanks for that, Arnie Joan. That was actually a great question.
Arnie Joan, dude. Big shout out to Arnie Joan.
Yeah, big shout out to Arnie Joan. So, moving on to the next question. It's by one of my friends, Alex. And this one's a very deep question. So, prepare your mind, Pat. Through the dab, prepare your mind. But this one might it threw me back. I had to take a couple of minutes to think about it when I first read it. But so shout out to Alex for this one. Do we have a set destiny, or is it just fate? And we need to talk about free will. That is one of the deepest questions that is going on right now.
You guys want us to talk about some deep shit?
I like it.
I've just turned 19. You're fucking 19, bro. I'm not like 60. I'm not wise, dude. But look at us, dude. We're just attaining wisdom constantly. I fucking love this,
That's
man.
it. So, Pat, I'll ask you the question.
Sick.
Do you think we have a set destiny, or it's fate? As a believer of God, what do you think?
I think in life we have choices.
Yeah.
There are many different choices we can make.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's an element of control that as a human we have. And it's up to us. Because, right, we're getting really deep here, okay? And we're going to talk about mental health, okay? So if you guys don't like hearing this, that's okay. Switch off. Why would it be somebody's destiny to commit suicide? Why would it be somebody's destiny to be depressed and stuff like that? That's
a very valid point.
It's the people we surround ourselves with, and it's the decisions we make. That's how I consider it. Because, okay, God would never, ever, ever want to see people depressed, doing all these things, right? Okay?
Yeah.
It's just the world that we live in is unfortunately very toxic and very harsh.
Yeah.
So it's for me personally, I think as humans, there's definitely an element of control, right? Okay? But by being a believer in God or whatever, can give you hope, right? I think there's these things that we can believe in, and they will give us hope to live and to enjoy life and to do whatever we're destined or whatever our heart desires to do, right? But I don't believe in the fate in the fact that we're born on Earth to people to get cancer and people to go through all this tribulation, because that's not fair, right? Why are people born, some people born into such a privileged life, and why are some people born into such an underprivileged life? You have to ask that question, because to me, can't be somebody's destiny to, you know.
Okay, bro, that's a really valid point.
But I feel like despite the situation that anybody can be put in, there's always a way how in life you can be happy, because at the end of the day, the end goal to any human is to be happy, right?
Yeah.
And you know, you see people who are like kids in Africa, right, who are poor and have nothing, but they're happier than the white working man who is making 6 figures a year. You know what I mean? That's a beautiful concept to me. Yeah.
I actually like. Thanks so much. I didn't actually think about that point of view that you just had about destiny, and why would it be someone's destiny to kill themselves, commit suicide, or to have depression or anxiety and stuff like that. So thanks for that. It's kind of like broadened my scope.
Look at us, bro, bouncing off each other, huh?
No, seriously. Like I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah.
So I think that to an extent, humans have free will. And I think that because humans, we are a product of, one, our culture, and two, our nature and environment. When we are born, we don't really know anything. But where we're born and who raises us has a huge effect on what we do, right? So free will it's the so hold on. I went so deep into my mind.
Dude,
just
this is
then.
crazy. Like,
Just
we've gone
zoned
from
out.
the Taking It Easy podcast to the Taking It Seriously podcast, man.
Literally. No, so
This is fucked, dude.
so
Why did you change the
like I
name,
said,
man?
literally. But free will is the ability for someone to choose freely, but with options. Right?
Mm.
So say this morning
I got
I
options.
chose to have Wheat Bix and banana for breakfast.
It's a good
But
choice.
I could have chosen to have oatmeal, or I could have chosen
That's
to
a
have
poor
toast
choice.
with peanut butter.
That's a good choice. I rate that.
Yeah. But that's the thing, like, you have choices, but you're able to make those choices freely. Say, like I was saying before, if I was to grow up as a child in the Philippines or a child in Japan, right? My options would be radically different. Maybe I would be having rice with salmon for breakfast.
That would
Or I'd
slap.
be having seaweed with rice for breakfast, you know? I think that the experiences and events that happen in an individual's life shape their free will decisions.
Yeah.
Say if I was to
I
grow
see
up
what
in a
you're saying.
wealthy middle class family, right? I had the majority of what I wanted as a kid, blah, blah, blah. My free will and decisions are going to be shaped around, or are going to be shaped radically differently to a kid that grew up in a village in the Amazon who lived off the land, who's never seen technology, never got what they wanted, but got what they needed.
Mm.
Their decisions versus my decisions are going to be radically different, right? And I think when you're faced with a decision where it has one of two options, I think it's more it's tough. I think it's more destiny, right?
Yeah.
Because if you choose one option and you do that option and you take that option, there could have been another destiny or another positive or another negative that led in the other option you could have chosen. You know, so say if I never moved to Sydney, right? If I never moved to Sydney, so I moved to Sydney about 7 years ago from Canberra. I was born and raised in Canberra.
What a shit. No,
Say if I,
I'm joking. I'm joking. We
so
love Canberra.
no. So say if I never moved to Sydney, how much different would my life be in Canberra? What would I be doing in Canberra?
You'd probably be more
What
like...
decision? What what decisions would I be making in Canberra? I would never have started this podcast. Say
We
that
never met each
there
other.
are two different ways, but from one decision I made in one point of time, that's decided my destiny. Because I think destiny is ongoing, and when the choices you make, you create your own destiny.
Fuck, dude. It's
Yeah,
like,
man.
you know those like...
Choose your own adventure.
Bro, you know those like
choose your own
adventure games
book.
where you like have a choice and the choice affects the outcome?
Yeah. It's like a choose your own adventure book.
It's
man.
like that, except we have like unlimited choices.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very hard to conceptualize fate without believing in something greater, kind of thing. I think people who believe in fate believe that was their path and that's meant to happen for them.
Wait,
from something
I'm gonna
greater.
sound really dumb right now, but what actually is fate?
So fate is like everything that's happened in your life was made to happen, was meant to happen, kind of thing. So fate is like a path was already set out for you before you were born, and you're just a character going through that path.
Isn't that the same as destiny?
I think destiny is different because you create your own destiny, because like I said, your fate is set out, right? Your
So
fate's already
destiny
there.
is the choices that will lead to your...
These are these are like my definitions. So for me, fate is something that's already set out. Everything's already chosen in your life. So when you make that decision, you're meant to make that decision. You were born to make this decision, go through this experience, go through this hardship. That's what I think fate is. And I think it's different to destiny because with destiny is ever changing and you're creating your own destiny through the free will decisions that you choose to make. So say if I decide to have peanut butter toast for breakfast this morning, right? Instead of wheat Bix and banana.
No, crunchy or smooth.
Oh, crunchy.
Okay.
Has to be crunchy peanut butter. Anyway, so Anyway, so I feel like if I had peanut butter toast this morning instead of Wheat Bix, my day might have gone differently. And maybe I didn't get a text from my coach saying,
An
"Oh,
extra bit
like
of protein and fat would have made you shit.
no, but like seriously, maybe if I did decide to have peanut butter on toast this morning, maybe my coach wouldn't have texted me saying, "Oh, do you want to come down and hoop today? Like, let's hoop." Maybe I don't know. Maybe I didn't
I
cook
personally
meatballs and
disagree.
spaghetti. Oh yeah. Well, what do you think?
Well, I mean, if you're saying in that instance that like, oh, maybe my coach wouldn't have messaged me and said let's hoop. Well,
Yeah.
that's completely out of your control if your coach messages you and hoop, because like if you like he's a completely different person, right? So he's making his completely
Yeah.
different choices. The fact that you made this choice won't necessarily mean that he's going to make that choice, because it's
Very
completely
true.
irrelevant to the
Very true.
right?
Yep.
But
Very good point.
It's-
Actually, like
I think like things like that, like whatever breakfast you eat will still make a difference. It may be a small difference, but it may mean
you might not
that,
even notice it.
yeah, 100%. It may mean if I had peanut butter toast compared to if I had bacon and eggs, I would finish eating 5 or 10 minutes quicker, which means that I would brush my teeth quicker, get on with my day quicker, which would maybe affect the choices that I made. Like stuff like that. Okay, Rowan's base camp kind of
Guys,
shat itself there.
That's technology for you guys.
We're hoping that
it's what it is.
lockdown restrictions get lifted by the end of next week, so we can actually have a guest on and do it in person. But we hope you guys are enjoying this podcast so far. We loved that question.
Yeah, that's
Now,
it, man.
we don't
We've
wanna, like,
been
end it
loving these
abruptly,
questions,
but
though.
we've got so many other questions. Well, like a few other questions that we want to
Yeah.
address before we get on to
I
the
reckon
fun part.
Yeah, well, I mean, I reckon I've got 2 more down here.
Okay.
I reckon we do those 2, and then we can crack on to the YouTube segment. What do you reckon?
Yes, sir.
All right, so the next question is from, well, actually, first of all, thanks, Alex, for that question. That really got us thinking really deeply. And
As they would
about
say
fate and
in primary
destiny.
school, I got my thinking caps on, man. My thinking caps.
So very true. But I think my thinking.
This is my brain right now, dude. My thinking cap is like this.
Bro, I think my
Fucking
thinking
cold
cap's
bag
been,
shit, dude.
bro, I think my thinking cap's been blown the fuck off. Like, I'm on some like out of
Rowan
brain shit
and
right now,
I
bro.
say this. We've said this after like every one of our podcasts. We think that our IQ was increased by like 2.
That's so
It's
true.
fucked,
you know how in
dude.
like
What's the people watch this say like
Hunger
you
Bar-
sound so dumb. But Rowan and I think we sound so smart right now.
Bro, you know in Minecraft where like you eat food and it regenerates, bro. That's our IQ at the moment. each podcast. No. Anyway, so we'll crack on to the next question. So this one's from Tyler. It's kind of a bit of a funny one.
Love you, Tyler.
Love you, Tyler.
Coughs.
What's the biggest Coffs Harbour? That's right. Shout out Coffs. What's the biggest animal you reckon you could take in a fight, Pat?
Dude, I'd be fucked. Dude, with my fucking dislocated shoulders and everything, what's my only option? Okay, I have no idea.
I'd probably say a house cat.
I reckon a house cat could feed me, bro. Those things are agile. Now, honestly speaking, I'd get fucked by a wolf. I think anybody would get fucked by a wolf. If I was KSI right now, I'd say a horse.
OG KSI fans.
Oh, dude, I don't want to think about beating an animal up.
I think if I was to take an animal
I think I could beat a German Shepherd.
Hey, respect that.
I think I could. On
Yeah,
my
I
day.
reckon you could. On a good day, you could beat a
Any
German
Shepherd, bro. If you want the smoke, I'll give you the smoke, man.
Fuck, if I was to pick an animal to fight 1-on-1 in a battle for my life that I think I could beat, to be honest, bro, I think I'm going to put my ego to the side and think realistically. Because if my ego was involved, I'm going to say like a silverback gorilla or shark. But obviously, I would get absolutely turned into a stuffed animal.
Unless if you're like Steve
that was
Irwin or
gonna
some
happen.
shit versing a croc.
Yeah.
Stab it in the eye or something.
I think I'm going to say, but this is so tough.
No weapons.
I think no weapons, just hand-to-hand combat.
Hand to hand.
I think I'm going to beat a medium-sized bear.
Fuck me. Like one of those black bears? Like, you know,
Not a bear that's
those
like,
grizzly bears are fucked up, dude. And the
yeah,
polar
no,
bears,
no,
they look
bro.
cute, but they're deceiving, bro.
They
Looks
will
are
kill me.
deceiving.
They'll kill me.
Those
I'm
black
gonna say
bears
like,
can get scared as shit. I don't know. Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to say like a black bear / panda.
And I'm putting my ego to the side. Bro, watch the panda just whoop your fucking ass to the side. Just go bang, and you get.
Get the fuck out of my get the fuck out of my den, bro.
The fuck away from my bamboo, dude.
No, that was a funny question. That one didn't require a thinking cap.
Yeah. Don't put this to the test, please.
That's it. No, so last question from you guys that we will cover today. Fame or fortune from Darcy?
Damn. I wanna ask you this one.
Yeah, okay. If I was gonna choose, is fortune as in money or legacy?
Let's say money. Yeah.
If I'm going fame or fortune, I'm going to pick. For me, it's quite hard. If I'm being honest,
For me, it's not.
I'll tell you why it's hard for me. If I had a lot of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to use LeBron James as an example, right? He's got both. No, he's got both fame and fortune, right? We can comfortably say he's got both fame and fortune.
Definitely.
The things that he can do with his platform of being famous, and then to be able to back that up with his financial equity, right? I'll give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
So LeBron James, absolutely famous, started this. He just had an idea to start up a school for kids who have been doing it tough in the Cleveland, Ohio area called the I Promise School. So he had this big idea, right? And then put it out onto the internet, and millions and millions of people saw it who follow him, right?
That's the fame.
That's the fame part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Millions of people, him having an influence on people and how they think, on how they think about his opinions and what he does. Him being able to say, you know what, I think I can do a good thing and build a school for disadvantaged people. For him to be able to back that up with his own personal funds as well, just went hand in hand. So he started a school a couple of years ago called the I Promise School for disadvantaged kids in Ohio, like I said, where they all get free bikes so they can have safe access to their home and to school, free lunch, free tuition as well. And and this is all out of his pocket as well. And obviously like other influences like the state government and stuff over there. But that just goes to show that his fame and fortune ties in perfectly together. So like he's a massive influence for me. So kind of seeing how he can use fame in a good way and then his own fortune as well. It's kind of very tough because say if I just picked fame, could be famous but have no money and have no impact.
You've got me thinking now, bro. Because I'm thinking, right? Okay, being famous is great, right? Because I as somebody who's done YouTube, I care a lot about my reputation, right?
Yeah.
We care a lot about how people see me, and that's just as a society we do that, right?
Yeah.
So being the thought of being famous whilst being like grinding all this YouTube stuff and now the podcast for many years is very exciting, right? But having no fortune to back that up means that I can't really have an impact on people because by having money, it's just the way how the world works, we can have an impact on other people. But we also don't need money to have an impact on people.
Correct. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Say if for this podcast, let's take this podcast, right? If we had money, we could have rented out an apartment, had like soundproofing, got perfect mics, like the Joe Rogan Experience, right? His podcast. He's got money. He can do that. He also has fame, so he has a platform to be able to have like 43 million subscribers on YouTube and like all of his socials, right? He has that platform and that fame to get Elon Musk, Kevin Hart, all these celebrities on because he's got fame and fortune and a good setup to be able to do that. But like you said, I think we don't need money to be able to have an impact on people. Like I'm sure we've already had an impact on people through this podcast. Like through volunteering as well. For myself,
Yeah, for sure.
I'm doing a therapy dog program. Doesn't cost anything. It's a volunteer service where we just
Yeah,
take time
exactly.
out of our day,
Yeah.
but you can still make an impact on people. You know.
100%. Yeah, I think that's very true, and that's why I would pick fame, because I can use my platform to
For good.
to spread positivity and all these amazing
That's it.
things that don't even require money. Because okay, some things do require money, but it doesn't necessarily have to be in my position to provide the financial assistance to all these things, if that makes sense. Like,
No, I agree.
yeah,
I agree, man.
the main thing is if you can get people on board to the idea of spreading love, and that's more important than just throwing money at it. Although money is very important.
Yeah,
In this world, it just is.
Yeah, and I think because of this conclusion and conversation we've both just had, I think right now, at the start I was kind of like, oh, I'm a bit indecisive, but I think I'm going to pick having fame over fortune. And like you said, because having that platform to be able to influence people, spread happiness, spread love to everyone, I think that in essence as a humanity is more important than having fortune. So I'm going to say fame.
Fame it is. Let us know what
That
you
was
think.
good, guys.
That's
Yeah,
great.
let us know what you think in the comments.
Now, obviously, this is going to be the end of the Spotify and Apple Podcast segment of the podcast. If you guys enjoyed, please let us know, obviously. Follow us on these platforms. But if you guys want to see the little extra blooper bit for YouTube, ladies and gentlemen, go over to that right now. We're going to get it underway. We're going to have the boys on. We've got a fun little lockdown quiz.
So anyway, thanks so much, guys, for listening in on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We hope to see you over on YouTube, and thank you so much for your questions. We've actually really enjoyed this Q&A little session we've done. But thanks so much. Take care and peace.
We'll catch you guys there. Peace. Hey guys, we had some difficulties trying to get the footage from the games. However, we're going to try to get that during the week, upload it as a separate video so you guys can still see it. But we have some good news. Rowan, take it away.
Thanks so much, Pat. And guys, just before we leave, we have one very special message and very special guest. So I hope you guys enjoy. Take it away.
Hey guys, Jared Croker here. I just want to give a quick shout out to Rowan and Pat, the guys on the Taking It Easy podcast. These guys have got a great outlook on life, a great perspective on life, and they've got some amazing stories on there. So well done, guys. Keep up the good work. And if you haven't had a listen yet, get out there and have a listen. Thanks, guys.